Harry and Meghan run the risk of being exiled from the UK, Charles urges Harry withdraw his book. Harry has been urged to do the right thing and withdraw the upcoming release of his book or risk being exiled from the UK with his wife Meghan Markle. When the Duke of Sussex first announced details of the book last year, he said in a statement, "I'm writing this not as the prince I was born but as the man I have become. I've worn many hats over the years, both literally and figuratively, and my hope is that in telling my story, the highs and lows, the mistakes, the lessons learned, I can help show that no matter where we come from, we have more in common than we think. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to share what I've learned over the course of my life so far and excited for people to read a first-hand account of my life that's accurate and wholly truthful." The book had been due for release over the coming weeks, but its publication could reportedly be delayed by several months as Harry is planning to add new chapters in which he will recount the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. But Niall Gardner, a monarchy enthusiast, foreign policy expert and former aide to Margaret Thatcher, fears Harry's book could still be hugely controversial and contain a great deal of criticism of the royal family. He has warned the Duke that any such criticisms risk seeing he and Meghan exiled from the UK following the resulting British public backlash. Mr. Gardner told Express.co.uk, Prince Harry should withdraw his upcoming book. The book is clearly going to be hugely controversial and may well contain a great deal of criticism of the royal family. It will likely be a very highly charged book, and Harry should do the right thing and withdraw his book from publication. Especially in the wake of the Queen's death, as it would be very disrespectful to put out such a book. Both Harry and Meghan run the risk of being exiled from the UK and not welcomed back into the country by the British people with this book. The royal family enthusiast also warned that while there is still some goodwill towards Harry, that would quickly evaporate if the book is released and contains criticisms of the royal and would make him a complete outcast. He added, "There is more goodwill towards Harry, but all of that would evaporate if he puts out a book that is full of attacks against his own family. Any remaining respect for Harry would quickly disappear at the drop of a hat." The release of the book by Harry that contains major attacks on the royal family end all hopes of reconciliation with the royal family. The Daily Beast recently reported that Harry faces a life of permanent exile, with the royal treatment of Harry likely to be modelled on the fate of Edward VIII, the king who abdicated in 1936 and lived the rest of his life outside the UK. A friend of the king's previously told the Daily Beast, "The royals handled the abdication crisis by exiling Edward, which meant he and Wallis ultimately came to seem like unimportant, misguided, disloyal, and even treacherous individuals to almost the entirety of the British people. It was a masterful operation in the service of which the Queen Mother, in particular, worked tirelessly." The same thing is already happening with Harry and Meghan, and will only gather pace over the next few years under the rule of King Charles. And of course a wayward second son is far less of an existential threat to the fabric of the monarchy than a wayward king. Another source, a former Buckingham Palace staffer, told the Daily Beast that King Charles' accession statement, in which he encouraged his son and Meghan to continue to build their lives overseas, was an undisguised message to them to not disrupt his reign by making frequent trips to the UK. Harry and Meghan will get an invite to the coronation, but they will be firmly seated in the cheap seats along with Beatrice and Eugenie, as they were at the funeral. That will be it. Charles will be ruthless when it comes to protecting the crown, and that means keeping Harry and Meghan as far from the centre of gravity as possible, the former staffer told the Daily Beast. The former